Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm talking about a short story that is appropriate for the Halloween season. This is actually second of two Halloween videos that I'm putting up on YouTube this 2025 Halloween season. The story is called The Telegram by Violet Hunt. We are Telltale Books, bringing you the best in literature, literary topics, and graphic design and bookmaking.
If you want to support us, you can find us on Etsy and Pango, where you can find gently used, rare, and even top quality used books.
And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and maybe even that bell to be notified when new videos go live.
Thanks for joining us.
The Telegram is a short ghost story by Violet Hunt. It was published in her collection of stories titled Tales of the Uneasy in 1911, published by William Heinemann. I read it in this book, Into the London Fog, edited by Elizabeth Durnley, and it's part of the British Library Tales of the Weird, despite the fact that these are just trade paperbacks. They're really cool books, bringing back into print a lot of very old horror and weird and cosmic and science fiction and stuff like that, stories that we otherwise probably would completely forget and never know about. So it's a really good series. This one isn't edited by Mike Ashley, but a lot of the earlier volumes were edited by Mike Ashley, who is an awesome editor, and it's a good series of books to get a hold of. You can buy them here in the States right from Amazon, but you can also go on like Waterstones and Blackwell's and buy them from there if you want to pay a little more for shipping. It's not too bad, though. I haven't found it to be too bad. Now, Violet Hunt was primarily a feminist writer. She mostly wrote stories about the social situations of women around the turn of the century, 1900. She had relationships with a lot of very famous writers, including H.G. Wells and Oscar Wilde. At one point, she is rumored to have been engaged to Oscar Wilde. She was a member of a women's suffrage group, daughter of the pre-Raphaelite painter Alfred William Hunt, and her mother was writer Margaret Hunt. She herself studied art and was an artist model, and she ran in circles with most of the notable British artists and writers of that time. The story of The Telegram involves a woman who's kind of a wild woman. She flirts with a lot of guys, chases after a lot of different guys, and she has this one guy that she isn't particularly taken with. His name is Everard. The woman's name is Alice. Everard is in love with her, but she basically just uses him. Uses the fact that he wants to hang around and help her, and to get him to do things, and she has no intention of ever starting an actual relationship with him. Well, years go by, and they are kind of out of touch, but she finds her lifestyle becoming empty, and she wants something more real. And of course, Everard is really the best guy she's ever had in her life. So she asks him to meet with her, and he agrees, but Everard has been sick. He's been by himself. He's been sick. There's a nurse that's coming and taking care of him. And he does show up for dinner at Alice's place, but he's very different. He's distant. He keeps saying how, even though she wants to get married to him now, he keeps saying how it just can never happen. In the end, he finally does agree. Yes, he'll marry her. The next day, he'll marry her. But then the next day comes, and she goes to his place to find out he had died. Not only that, spoiler, he died before he ever showed up at her place. He died about 7 o'clock. He showed up at her place after 8. He wasn't really there. You can see the ending coming from a mile away. Okay, it's very obvious that what's going on early in the story too. It's very obvious that Everard is not quite alive and not quite himself. What I like about this story, though, is the way it's written, the way it's put together, the way it's told, the relationship that's created here, the characters that are created, that are involved here. It's very interesting and very interestingly put. Not that it's a complicated plot or anything, it's just the way she writes it comes across. She brings the characters alive, or not, and you get a very strong atmosphere here. Very good story. Not something, I mean, in 1911 maybe they thought this was spooky. Today you're not going to think it's spooky at all, but it is an interesting story. I would recommend it to anybody that wants to investigate the old ghost stories. And like I say, I would recommend all these British Library of the Weird, Tales of the Weird books. They're awesome books with some great stories. In this volume, there's not a lot of authors that I'm familiar with, but there are a couple. Virginia Woolf is in here, but just with an essay. Arthur Machen has a story in here. Marie Lowndes, the original short version of The Lodger, is in here. Edith Nesbit is in here. E.F. Benson is in here. So and there's an anonymous story about Spring-Heeled Jack. So it's a very good book. And all of these books are like that. They're just some gems of stories that are being found and collected into these books. So, have you ever by chance read The Telegram by Violet Hunt? If so, leave your comments in the comment section of the video. I want to hear them. I'm interested enough. This isn't a top tale, but it was a really good tale, so I'm interested in trying out some more by Violet Hunt. She isn't best known for her weird stories. She did publish a number of them, but she wrote a lot more novels, and those novels are mostly feminist stories about women's situation in the turn of the century, 1900. So not genre fiction, but the writing in this was good enough that I think it's worth checking out some of her other writings. And so I may do that, may get Emily to join me on one or two of her novels in the future, and I do think I'll watch for some of her other ghost stories. So come on back. Probably more Violet Hunt, definitely more of a lot of other authors, and a lot of interesting topics and discussions of art and design and publishing. If it affects literature, we're talking about it here on Telltale Books, so come on back and join me for more. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.